not our personal preference or opinion, right? But what two professionals in the draft world said, hey, look, here's what I think the first round will be, albeit early in the process. And look who the best player on the board is. James Pierce Jr. again.
James Pierce again.
Yeah. You got Luther Burden III, wide receiver out of Missouri, is the next best one. Okay. Then you got edge defender Mike Green, right? We talked about him. You got wide receiver out of Ohio State, Emeka Egbuka. You got Benjamin Morrison, cornerback out of Notre Dame. You got edge defender Jack Sawyer. You got halfback O'Marion Hampton out of North Carolina. You got Nick Scourton, edge defender out of Texas A&M. You got Tyleek Williams, big three tech out of Ohio State. Jahdae Brown, cornerback out of Texas, wouldn't be a bad pick, right? I mean, you got all these guys. Demetrius Knight Jr., linebacker out of South Carolina. He's ranked 30th. The pick that our boy Kyle Krabs makes is Trey Amos out of Ole Miss. So he's going to go cornerback, who's ranked 31st. Average draft position has been 32 in the mock draft database. PFF grades him 71, jump to a 76, jump to an 85. And here is what Kyle Krabs says about Trey Amos. Okay. He says Green Bay is a team that needs help at some of the premium defensive positions. The edge room and cornerback room both loom as big questions, especially given the uncertainty around the future of cornerback Jair Alexander. With Green Bay looking promising with their new safety talent, getting perimeter coverage players could help this team serve as a more legitimate contender in 2025 and beyond. Few cornerbacks are more physical and combative in this year's class than Trey Amos, who broke out in a big way in his only season with the Rebels. So he played at Bama, transferred over to the Rebels, and just took off. Now, some people go, was he playing the same talent? Both in the SEC. Obviously, they had to have played pretty good talent. Matter of fact, I'm going to try to adjust this where you can see a little more on Trey Amos. Let's see what his per game statistics look like here, Tim. So his best game of the year was against, I don't even know who that is. Is that Furman? I can't remember the name of that college. Very small school. But another good game at South Carolina, 81.6. Duke at home, 78. Georgia at home, 74.6. Oklahoma at home, 73.4. His worst game of the year came against a small school. I can't even see the name of the school there. And then another one was Middle Tennessee State. So it seemed like he got up for the big games. LSU at LSU, 68.8, not bad, right? I mean, pretty decent. Not his best game of the year. On the road in Florida, 69.9. But again, that Georgia, 74.6. Trey Amos is the pick here from Kyle Krabs, Tim. Does that surprise you? Is there anything you want to see here from Kyle Krabs? I mean, the coverage grade, 85.6. Man coverage grade, 74.3. Zone coverage, 79.6. I don't think this is a bad pick. It's just, do you go with Trey Amos here? And the one thing you got to take into consideration, too, is the players that are available, there's several edge defenders still available. There's several three techs still available.
Yeah, so, I'm drafting Tyleek Williams here with this pick. That's just me. Yeah, okay. Based on what's on the board. But it seems like the growing consensus, at least recently, is that they seem to think we're going to stick and pick in the first round and go edge or corner. And yeah. I'm not there. I'm going trenches if we're going to pick in the first round. But what the hell do I know, right? But yeah, Trey Amos, yeah, I mean, clearly it's not a bad pick. The thing I would disagree or push back a little bit on is I feel like we need help in the slot, and Trey Amos is not a slot corner.
All right. Yeah, and if they go this route, then that tells you, hey, Javon Bullard, they really like him at slot. Yeah. Right? There's no two ways about that. I'm trying to find Trey Amos. Let me search real quick. I want to see exactly where he's at on our board and how much it may make sense.
I like Javon Bullard in the slot too. Right now the depth behind him is moving Keyshawn back into the slot, and that's a scenario I'd like to avoid going forward.
And again, if you take Trey Amos and Jair's gone, you feel a little bit better about the cornerback room, right? We all kind of agree on that.
Yep.
If Josh stays and you took Trey Amos, you're feeling really good about that cornerback room, right? Like the problem is that three tech, you know? But Tim, let me ask you this. Well, first of all, I've got Trey Amos in the 22 spot. If we were drafting and my board fell perfectly into place, this would be the pick. This would be, this makes all the sense in the world. Again, best player available and not just position of need. Now, if there's a cluster of players, and there would be, like, for example, let's see who the top defensive tackles are here that are available. If the board fell the way they're saying here, right? So it'd be Tyleik Williams would be the best defensive lineman according to PFF. And on my board, I've got Tyleik Williams in the 31 spot. So he would be lower than Trey Amos significantly. He would be one tier lower. So Trey Amos makes sense according to Tyleik Williams with our board. Next would be TJ Sanders. Let me see where TJ Sanders is on our board and if that would make sense. TJ Sanders is slightly lower than Tyleik Williams, kind of like what you were saying, Tim. You would take Tyleik over TJ Sanders. He's in the 35 spot. He's one tier lower than Tyleik Williams. Yep. Walter Nolan is a name that's still available, right? Walter Nolan on my board. Where is he at, sir? Walter Nolan, where are you? Thought he was higher than that. Let me see. Walter Nolan. Yeah, I've got Walter Nolan in the 16 spot. So I would take Walter Nolan here over Trey Amos, me personally. In terms of the other defensive lineman, the only other one that might come into play is a Derek Harmon. I got him at 43. So if the board fell exactly the way that Kyle Krabs said it fell right here, and it was our turn to pick, right? There's several players. Mike Green, I would take over. Let's go to edge real quick. Let's do that. James Pierce Jr., I got in the 13 spot. I've got Mike Green at 17, right? So there's several edge defenders I would take over him. Jack Sawyer, I've got Jack Sawyer in the 14 spot. Yeah, there's about 4 or 5 other players that I would rather have over Trey Amos right now because they're positions that are more important. They're a position of need, in my opinion, and they're significantly higher than Trey Amos. Now, here's the thing. We're not going to trade back here, but this is what we're talking about. We're sitting here with 4 or 5 players we'd be okay with. If you could find a partner to trade back with, who is Matt LaFleur's best friend in the NFL outside of Robert Saleh? Probably Sean McVay, right? Well, looky here. Yeah. Sean McVay is picking in the 26th spot. You think they're not talking about possibly trading up or the Packers trading back? This would be a situation where you could trade back 1, 2, 3 spots, pick up a 4th round pick, whatever it might be, right? Whatever it is, 3rd or a 4th round pick extra. And then you still get one of your top 5 guys. That's where you can make the board line up with where you want to take your best available. So if you did trade back with the Rams, and we're going to do one tonight, Tim, we're going to do our own mock draft tonight, and we're going to give ourselves the ability to trade back. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Maybe we'll use one of theirs and then trade back, one of like Daniel Jeremiah's or Kyle Krabs' mock. But this situation, I would trade back and then take the pick of the litter between whoever's best available, James Pierce Jr., Mike Green, Jack Sawyer, like you said, not really Tyleik Williams for me, but it'd be Walter Nolan for me, or Trey Amos. Whichever one of those has the highest ranking that fell that far, I would take them. This is why Goody traded back twice when they took Jaden Reed, right? They traded back because they knew nobody. They probably had a cluster of guys, and Jaden Reed was the top guy. And they're like, I don't think Jaden's going to go here. Let's trade back. And then they got there. They still had a cluster of guys. I don't think Jaden's going to go here. Let's trade back. And then when they got to that third spot after they traded back twice, they took Jaden Reed. You picked up extra draft capital because you have multiple people in that top tier. So in this case, though, we're going to go Trey Amos, which is exactly what our boy Kyle Krabs did here on this draft. So, Tim, you got anything else to add to that?
Last time we drafted a corner in the first round was Jair, correct?
Yes, sir. I'm pretty sure. No, Eric Stokes.
Oh, Stokes. Yeah. Okay. So the last time, okay.
Didn't work out.
Last time a first round corner worked out was Jair. Got it. Okay.
Right. Yeah, it's been a while.
We went up to get him too, didn't we? Didn't we trade him?
I want to say we did. I could be wrong, but I think we did. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting, man. We're kind of, and this is what Daniel Jeremiah was talking about, right? From 20 to 60, all these players are kind of the same. So we're just outside of the top 20, and we're finding ourselves going, probably should trade back. And again, I'm not saying trade completely out of the first round. I'm saying trade back 3, 4, 5 spots if you can. You got to find a partner, right? Who's that partner going to be? Will it be Sean McVay? It probably almost definitely won't be the Lions at 28. Could be Baltimore, right? And I don't think you want to trade below Detroit in that situation. We've seen teams leapfrog us like that in the past. So There's a chance you could trade up too. I think it's highly unlikely, although the fact that the draft is in Green Bay, there might be a little pressure from like a Mark Murphy ed policy going, hey, listen, this ain't a bad year to trade up if you got a guy that's significantly higher on your board. Talking about winning the crowd over, right?
Yep.
Drew D says, our problem is lack of elite talent. I don't get why we want to keep trading back. Because, Drew, right now, where we're picking, you don't have anybody in the top tier, right? All these players are kind of the same. So you could take your best player available, but if you've got the same exact grade on him, right, meaning he's in the same exact tier, then what you're doing is you're taking the same tier of talent of player and you're not picking up draft capital. You know what I'm saying? So you could get your pick of the litter there. I'm not saying it's a bad move, but for me, I would want to trade back to get multiple swings. Let me ask the question back to you, Drew. LVN, do we think that's panned out? Hasn't, right? We took him at 13. You know, when I say panned out, I mean, has he played like a top 13 pick? I think we would all agree he hasn't, right? You would expect someone like a TJ Watt or something like that. At least I would, right? And I know the draft isn't that cut and dry. So he hasn't worked out, right? Did Eric Stokes work out, right? I'd say we'd all agree he didn't. Let's say Darnell Savage, did he work out? We're going back a little bit, right? He didn't work out, right? Quay Walker, you know, Tim's higher than anyone on that pick. Tim, do you think when you take a linebacker in the first round, you expect him to be a top 5 linebacker in the league? I think we would all agree, right?
Absolutely.
He hasn't been that. I think you agree with that.
Now let's flip the other side of the coin. Would you say Zach Tom is elite talent?
Bingo. Now,
what round did we pick him in?
Right. How do you get more Zach Toms? How do you get more Edgerrin Coopers? How do you get more Jaden Reeds? How do you get more Tucker Crafts? You got to have more bots at the apple from the 2nd to the 4th round, right? I mean, Rasheed Walker, I'm not even going to mention it because 7th round, getting a guy who starts left tackle, that's so rare. But if you trade back and you get multiple picks within the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th round, Goody has a higher hit rate on those rounds. Now, he's not going to see it this way. He's going to look at his board and go, that's the dude that's hands down the best prospect on our board. Let's take him. I'm just saying maybe we need to try a little bit different approach in the first round. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just that's where I'm at. And every year I'm team trade back. It seems like almost every year I find myself going, man, there's multiple guys. I'd rather have more bites at the apple rather than saying, let's go here with this guy, you know? Yep. And again, you're going to miss in the 2nd and 3rd round. Like as of right now, Luke Musgrave has been a miss. He was in the 2nd round. But look at Tucker Kraft, right? Because you took multiple attempts at filling that need. So if you need 3 tech, you need corner. Imagine being able to draft 2 defensive tackles and 2 corners within the first 4 rounds. You got a good shot of hitting on one of those guys, right? Evan Williams, right? I think we would all agree Javon Bullard, I'm not saying he's a bust, but Evan Williams is a much better player than Javon Bullard at the NFL level at this point, albeit just 1 year. Where did you get Evan Williams, right? You got him lower than Javon Bullard. If you hadn't took 2 swings at safety, you'd be looking at Javon Bullard going, damn, this guy can't play safety.
Yep.
So how do you get multiple swings? Do that by trading back. That's just how I see it. So, again, it's so everybody likes to roast the GM going, man, he's just bad at drafting in the first round. He's bad at drafting. No, every GM misses. Every GM misses. So if that's the case, why not give yourself more shots? You know, like you bat 300 in Major League Baseball, you're a Hall of Famer, right? Okay, if you're hitting 260 and you got far fewer at bats than the guy who's hitting 300, you know, you got 70% less at bats. Increase your at bats, try to get better, you know what I'm saying? And try to do what you do well. Don't go out there and swing for the fences, the first round pick that we seem to suck at here lately. Why don't you just try to scatter shot and get on base? Yeah. And that, you know, in Goody's wheelhouse, it seems to be from the 2nd to the 4th round. So again, I could be wrong there. That's just my opinion. We can you know, agree to disagree on it. That's just, again, there's none of these guys that are a slam dunk. I take that back. I think there's a few that are a slam dunk in this draft. And we did this last year, and we got them right. My slam dunks in this draft right now are Mason Graham, defensive tackle out of Michigan, Travis Hunter, cornerback out of Colorado, Abdul Carter, edge defender out of Penn State, and Ashton Gianti, running back out of Boise State. Those
None of which will be on the board when we pick.
No chance whatsoever. Yep. You're going to have to get in the top 5 to guarantee yourself getting one of those dudes because, Again, Shador, Sanders, and Cam Ward will most likely go in the top 5. There may be another quarterback climb up, too, that sneaks up. That always shakes up the board. So, again, that's why I'm team trade back. Now, if your argument is trade up there and try to get one of those top-tier guys, that's cool. You can get one of those top-tier guys. But, boy, oh, boy, you're going to have to sell the farm. Your draft capital is going to be really really depleted by the time you get to the next year's draft or the year after. So there you go. All right, let's keep it moving here. Thanks for the comment there, Drew. I love getting people's differing opinions like that too, man. Let's go Trey Amos. That's what our boy Kyle Krabs did. Now we're going to go rapid fire. I know we're over on time, Tim. We're going to keep it to 40 minutes, and here we are. So the Minnesota Vikings are going to take TJ Sanders. See, this is the thing that's going to bother me. Division rivals continue to build in the trenches, and we're just taking cornerbacks, and it's going to bother me.
Yep.
What the heck do I know? TJ Sanders to the Vikings. Next, you got the Houston Texans. He's got them taking wide receiver Emeka Egbuka out of Ohio State going to the Texans. Next, you got the LA Rams. They're going to take offensive tackle Ariante Ursary. I think I'm saying that name right. Let's see if
nailed it.
Yeah, no, I didn't, Tim. Don't you lie to me, buddy. Let's see if we can just go offensive tackles. It may be hard to find him. Looks like he might be a little lower on the board. Here we go. Yeah, the 64 spot according to PFF. Average draft position 61. He's got the Rams taking Ursary there. That was the Rams, right? Yeah, that's right. I get the Rams and the Chargers mixed up. They couldn't have made their logo look more similar. It's unbelievable. Next, you've got the Baltimore Ravens. Surprise, surprise. They're going to go get James Pierce Jr., the 9th overall prospect. That just makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? The Ravens continue to just get better every single year on defense.
Yep.
Tyler Booker, interior offensive lineman, going to Bama. Again, division rival, Tim. Let's just go out there and get the best interior offensive lineman on the board and continue to build in the trenches, right? That's what the Lions are going to do here. Next, you got the Washington Commanders. They're going to go get a wide receiver in Luther Burden Jr. PFF has him as a top 10 talent. Boy, that'd make all the sense in the world for Washington. And you go, Clayton, are you okay with taking a wide receiver that early? Again, Bill Walsh 101, the last piece you put in place is wide receiver, right? Yep. Washington, what did they do this year? Went on that playoff run, right? Got beat by the Philadelphia Eagles. You add a number 1 wide receiver, bang. Now, we got beat by the Philadelphia Eagles too, right? I could see the argument for people saying, hey, let's go get us a true number 1. I agree. Go get Devontae Adams. Or go get my boy down there in Tampa. What's his name? Not Mike Evans, Godwin, right?
Chris Godwin, yeah.
You see how you can fill that void without wasting this first-round pick on a wide receiver that might potentially be a bust. Go get a proven talent, right? Yeah. Go get Chris Godwin in free agency, or go get Devontae Adams if they cut him as a cap casual. So,
can we just talk about how, Missouri these last, 2 or 3 years has just been churning out elite talent?
You mentioned that last year, Tim. You were the one that kept pointing that out, man. It seems like every year. You're right, man. They got multiple first-round picks, or at least multiple first- and second-round picks, right?
For sure.
Blake B, Mike Green snubbed in this mock. Completely agree, Blake. Completely agree. Let's see. What did Daniel Jeremiah say about Mike Green? Where did he end up going, Tim?
28 to the Lions. See, that makes sense.
Yeah, it really does, right? So, and here's the other thing you can't rule out. Since there's multiple players there from 20 to 60, right? That's what Daniel Jeremiah talked about. The sweet spot of this draft is from 20 to 60. There's a lot of players that are just the same there, right? Mm-hmm. We're talking about trading back to get multiple picks in that 20 to 60 range. What if you took your 23rd pick and then you traded back up, right, into the second round? That's a possibility. There's a little bit of precedent for that, right, with Goody trading up in the second. So that might be the way to go. But, yeah, Blake, I agree, man. He did get a little snub here for sure. Drew D, Lions taking more O-line. Geez, I know, man. Yep. Don't it just make sense, though? Just offensive line, defensive line, they're just going to continue to beat the hell out of people in the trenches and win ball games. And the rest of us are going, we need a wide receiver. We need a corner.
we need a kicker.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to talk about that. But Buffalo up next. The Bills are going to take Nick Scourton, defensive lineman. He's the 25th overall prospect according to PFF. And then this one breaks my heart right here, man. Who do you think the Philadelphia Eagles are going to take here in Kyle Krabs' PFF mock draft?
Oh, man.
If you had to guess, who do you think it would be? I'm just going to scroll and not try to give it away, but who do you think it would be?
Walter Nolan?
Yes, sir. It breaks my damn heart. They're going to go Walter Nolan. So Philadelphia has arguably the best defensive line in all of football, and they're going to continue to add to it. That's why the Eagles are the Eagles. I'm just telling you right now. We talk about it every year. They drafted Jordan Davis, right? The next year, Jalen Carter. They may get Jalen. No, they won't get Jalen Carter. They got Jordan Davis. They went and got Jalen Carter, right? And now here you got another year. They will go get Walter Nolan and just continue to build depth in that defensive line. I'm telling you, man, that's the way to build a defense is build up front. Yep. J. Cole, I'd be pissed. That's all he said. All right, and then the last pick of the first round, Tim, of course, the Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh, who the hell cares who this team gets?
Kansas City Chiefs going to go get your boy Tyleik Williams.
Ugh.
Exactly my thought. All right, so there it is. There is your mock draft. Matter of fact, I'll just close this out because I already saved the screenshot. This is Kyle Crabb's PFF or his mock draft 1.0 first round. All right, so just to recap, with the number 1 pick, edge defender Abdul Carter. Number 2, the Browns take Travis Hunter out of Colorado. Number 3, the Giants take quarterback Cam Ward. Number 4, the Patriots take tackle Will Campbell out of LSU. Number 5, the Jaguars take Mason Graham, defensive lineman out of Michigan. Number 6, the Las Vegas Raiders take quarterback Shedeur Sanders out of Colorado. Number 7, the Jets go with tight end Tyler Warren out of Penn State. Number 8, the Carolina Panthers go wide receiver Tataro McMillan out of Arizona. Number 9, the Saints take Mikael Williams, edge defender out of Georgia. Number 10, the Bears take Alabama offensive lineman Tyler Booker. Number 11, the 49ers take Missouri tackle Armand Nimbo. Number 12, the Cowboys get halfback Ashton Gienti. Number 13, the Dolphins get tackle Kelvin Banks Jr. 14, the Colts take Texas cornerback Jahdae Brown. 15, the Falcons take cornerback Will Johnson. Number 16, the Arizona Cardinals take linebacker Jalen Carter. 17, the Bengals get Walter Nolan, defensive lineman. This is Daniel Jeremiah. We did this for no reason. My bad.
And at 32, the Kansas City Chiefs take this guy.
Taligua. My bad, guys. We'll go rapid fire here. Number 1, the Titans get Abdul Carter. 2, Will Campbell. 3, Cam Ward. 4, the Patriots take Mason Graham. Number 5, the Jaguars take Travis Hunter. Number 6, the Raiders take Shedeur Sanders. Number 7, the Jets take Tataro McMillan. Number 8, you got some multiple picks here. Did you notice that, Tim? Between Daniel Jeremiah and Kyle Crabb. So you want to earmark those. Those will probably be the guys that actually go to those spots. Number 8, you got Will Johnson going to Carolina. 9, the Saints get Shamar Stewart, the guy that we took, according to Daniel Jeremiah, at 23. Number 10, the Bears go offensive line again, just a different one, Kelvin Banks Jr. out of Texas. 11, San Francisco goes Armand Nimbo. 12, the Cowboys go Mikael Williams. 13, the Dolphins go Tyler Warren, tight end out of Penn State. Did both of them take him at 13? No, they did not. They did not. Okay. Gotcha. Just wanted to make sure. Number 14, you got Malachi Starks, safety, going to the Colts. 15, the Falcons get Kenneth Grant, defensive lineman. 16, the Cardinals get Josh Simmons, tackle. 17, the Bengals get Josh Connerly Jr., tackle. 18, the Seattle Seahawks get Jalen Walker from Georgia, linebacker. So you'll notice Jalen Walker is 18th, according to Kyle Crabbs, and then according to Daniel Jeremiah, he is 16th. So probably going to be a top 20 pick for Jalen Walker. Number 19, Tampa Bay takes Siobhan Revell Jr. Out of East Carolina, cornerback. Number 20, the Broncos go Colston Loveland, tight end. 21, the Steelers go Ashton Gienti, halfback out of Boise State. I want to look at this. Gienti went 21 to Pittsburgh, according to Kyle Crabbs. And then Daniel Jeremiah had him go number 12 to Dallas. So going to be a top 20 pick there, most likely, for Ashton Gienti, somewhere in that range. Next, you got Matthew Golden, wide receiver for Texas, going to the Chargers. The Green Bay Packers select with the 23rd pick, cornerback out of Ole Miss, Trey Amos. Number 24 with the Vikings will be TJ Sanders, defensive lineman out of South Carolina. 25 with the Texans is Emeka Egbuka, wide receiver out of Ohio State. 26 to the LA Rams is Minnesota tackle Ariante Ursary. 27 with the Baltimore Ravens. They're going to get a steal in James Pierce Jr., edge defender out of Tennessee. 28, the Lions go guard Tyler Booker out of Bama. 29, the Washington Commanders go Luther Burden III, wide receiver out of Missouri. 30th, the Buffalo Bills go Texas A&M edge defender Nick Scourton. 31, the Philadelphia Eagles get my boy Walter Nolan.
Here's the guy.
Walter Nolan going 31 in Kyle Krabs's, and then he's going 17 in Daniel Jeremiah's. And we met with Walter Nolan. The Packers did. If he's there at 23, Tim, I think there's a decent shot we take Walter Nolan. I really do. And the final pick in the draft, much to Tim's disappointment here, we got Tyleik Williams, defensive lineman out of Ohio State. Daniel Jeremiah had Tyleik Williams. Where did he have him going? He did not have him going in the first round. Is that right, Tim?
Nope. Mikael Williams at 9. Yeah, I don't see any.
So Daniel Jeremiah thinks that Tyleik Williams will fall out of the first round. Kyle Krabs has him going with that 32nd.
He's got Derek Harmon going in the first round, and this one does not have Derek Harmon, correct?
Yeah. So there you go. Let's see what else we got here in the chat before we wrap up. Drew D said the offensive tackles go much higher in Krabs' mock than Jeremiah's. There you go.
Yep.
That's a good observation there, Drew. Appreciate that. And then Dennis Shook says, Clayton, is there any way the Goot trades? I love how he says the Gootinator here trades down out of the first round. I feel like it would be highly discouraged seeing as we host the draft. Dennis, that's been the big theme, man. Me and Tim are definitely in the minority with this opinion. There's very, very few Packer fans that I see that are on board with trading out of the first round. I could give a rat's ass, to be honest with you. I don't care if the draft was on the moon, if it was in Green Bay, if it was in Vince Lombardi's backyard, if it makes more sense for us to trade out of the first round, I'm not watching the draft for entertainment purposes. I'm watching the draft to try to get a beat on these players. It's fun, don't get me wrong. We have a blast doing it. It's going to be really fun at the house we're renting this year and hanging out and everybody watching the draft live together. But Tim, I don't care about that first round. I could sit around, drink daddy sodas, hang out, watch the first round, and then get multiple picks in the second and third. I'm on board with that, man.
Yeah, and nobody's going to give a crap what you did in the first round of the draft after you hoist the Lombardi. Do what's best for the franchise and the team. And hey, let's be real. That's still news. You're waiting for a pick, and maybe we trade back. So what? Hell, there's a possibility we move up, depending on who's on Goody's board and who's on the radar and how things are shaping up. I mean, you can't fault your GM for trying to make a move early in the draft. And I'm with you, Clay. I don't think the fact that it's here is gonna change Goody's approach at all. If anything, he might feel a little more pressure to really nail it, and if he feels like he's got to make a move, out of the first round to do that and take multiple swings like we talked about before, I think he will. I think at the end of the day, when it comes to football operations and roster structure, contracts, things like that, trades, free agency, I don't think our organization gives a rat's ass what the fans think. And that's why I love them.
Yeah. Andy Watkins says, if you win a Super Bowl after this draft, people will praise Goot. That's it, man. That's all it's about is winning a championship. Nobody's going to care that you traded out of the first round. Again, and when I say that, I feel like we're in the minority. I'm speaking of Twitter. So what I'm going to do is tonight, I'm going to do 2 different poll questions. I'm going to do a poll question for Twitter. I'm going to do a poll question for our live stream. Okay, Tim, don't let me forget this. Here goes your Post-it notes again. So I want to find out and basically the question is going to be, are you okay with the Packers trading out of the first round in this year's draft? That's going to be the case. It's going to be very simple. It's not going to be if we get a better player in the second round and try to sway people. It's just going to be, would you be okay with the with the Packers trading out of the first round this year? I want to see what Twitter says and what our viewers here on YouTube say, because I have a feeling our YouTube viewers will be a little more in favor of trading out or okay with it, I guess you could say is the right way to put it. But I think Twitter's going to melt down. So we'll lose 20 followers and people will cuss me out, and that's what we're here for, man. That's what Twitter's for.
Post-it number 69. Here we go. Let's go.
There you go. All right, so if you got anything else you want to hit on, man, we can hang out in the chat here for another 8 minutes, but I want to give you a chance to hit on anything according to this mock, and like I said, compare and contrast here with Daniel Jeremiah, man.
Again, these guys, I'm going to defer to the experts, man.
The experts,
right? Yeah, I keep disagreeing because I'm not an expert. I'm a newbie to this whole thing we're doing here. This is year 2 for me. But I just think we got to go trenches early. I really do. I don't see a corner. I don't even see them going edge early. I'm thinking O-line or D-line. And I know it'll piss a lot of fans off, which means that it's probably the right thing to do.
Right.
Just my opinion. But I'm with you in the logic that, we could take some advice really from ourselves. I mean, we draft and develop quarterbacks like nobody's business here in Green Bay. What the hell's wrong with, getting better at positions that you need to get better at? Right. I mean, we see Philly do it. We talked about Detroit doing it. You've got, strength in the trenches. You can always continue to get better. I don't see them taking a big swing in the secondary in the first round, but we'll see.
Yeah. Let's see what the chat's saying here. Joseph says Daniel Jeremiah knocking Tyleek for the pass rush. That makes sense, right? Because pass rush is a premier. It's obviously a premier trait there that people want on interior defenders as well. But go to Tyleek Williams. Let's see what his pass rush was. Yes, pass rush win rate was 7%. That's below the 3-quarter mark. His true pass rush grade was 63.9. His pass rush grade, Tim, was a 60.5. But his run defense grade, 88.6. That's kind of his bread and butter. So I could see him falling out of the first round. So that makes sense.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter what he did in college. He may come out and be a totally effective pass rusher at the NFL, right? We'll see. Andy Watkins says, I have a feeling Williams and Nolan won't be there in the first for us. I don't think Nolan will. That's why I'm saying if he's sitting on the board at 23, you boys know how I'm going to act. This is my Tyler Newman this year, man. This is my dude. Yeah, from the get-go, he kind of popped to me. And there's other great defensive linemen, don't get me wrong. It doesn't mean I wouldn't take who's our other boy from Michigan? Not Mason Graham, but the other. Let me see if I can pull this down real quick. Kenneth Grant. It doesn't mean I wouldn't take Kenneth Grant over, Walter Nolan. I'm just saying Walter Nolan's the dude that's really popped to me the entire time. Like, to give you an example, I would take Mason Graham over Walter Nolan, hands down. Okay, and this is talk interior defensive lineman. I would take Kenneth Grant over Walter Nolan because he seems to be a hotter commodity. But Kenneth Grant and Walter Nolan, literally, guys, we have 6 qualifiers in our draft board right now, meaning there's 6 elements that's adjusting the grade for us, okay? And it just so happens Kenneth Grant and Walter Nolan both landed at 22.7 as their grade. And the lower number is better. So they're literally tied according to our draft board. Now, what's going to shake that out? Daniel Jeremiah's big board, that's going to play a role. When the 33rd team's big board is put out, that's going to play a role. Greg Cosell's opinion of those 2 defensive linemen, I guarantee you he will give his breakdown of both of those. That'll sway it. The combine results were adjusted a little bit as well. And I think it's going to come down to, here's the other thing too. Well, which one is the Packers more interested in, Clayton? And here I got an answer for you. They both are. They've already met with both of them. So it's going to be wild, man. It's going to be a fun draft. So
I think so.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, I'm not going to be surprised if they go Trey Amos in the first round or a player similar, right? I wouldn't be surprised on anything. Offensive lineman that's got versatility. But if they take a 3-tech in the first round, Clayton here going to be one happy camper because, the fact that we all troubleshot this together, right? We did the troubleshooting together. We looked at the PFF grades from the season. We watched the tape all year on Chalk Talk, and we all came to this conclusion that, listen, our top need is 3-tech. And we ain't even talking about center much. Center's important. Don't get me wrong. Center's there. The reason we're not talking center more in this draft, though, like we talked about, Tim, is
there aren't many.
Yeah, outside of the top 100, that's when you kind of get into them. Other than Gray Zabel. Did Gray Zabel go here? He didn't, did he? He did not.
No.
So that's something to mention or to keep in mind.
And so again, with Gray Zabel, like a guy who has become center 10 minutes ago, like we keep calling him a center, and it's like, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the measurables, look at the tape. I mean, he's played a lot of guard and tackle.
Yeah, and the reason people were calling him center is because down there at the where is it? He's at? Is it the Reese Senior Bowl? Or is it at the other one? Let me see.
I think he's in the Shrine game.
Shrine game
tomorrow night. I think so.
Gotcha. That's going to be fun.
Don't quote me on that, but I think
Senior Bowl. He's Senior Bowl.
Oh, he is Senior Bowl. Okay.
Yeah. So the reason that people are seeing him as a center now is because they're trying him at center, and everyone is raving over it. They're going, "Damn, he can play center," and he's doing that in practice. But he's going up against the best talent in college football at the Senior Bowl. It's not – if it was a Shrine Bowl, I'd be a little more hesitant. But the fact that he popped at the Senior Bowl and he's playing through all three positions, then that's why they're doing it. And I'm with you. You go back and look at it, it's like this happened overnight. But damn, if he showcases he can do it at the Senior Bowl, you still have – I'm guilty of this. We still have a little bit of doubt because it's practice. It's a Senior Bowl. It's not the NFL. But every year – a Quinyon Mitchell stands out, and they go on to just.
And this ain't an exhibition game. These kids are going to play their guts out.
Right. This ain't the Pro Bowl.
Yeah. Exactly. So that's a good point. You want to see, Gray's able, 40, 50 snaps under his belt in a game and really get a good barometer on what he looks like playing center. So that'll be definitely a player to watch.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Number one Packer fans say, can't wait to cuss Clayton out. LOL, talking about on Twitter when we put that poll question up. You won't be alone, I promise you, Packer fan. Andy Watkins, I can't wait for April to meet y'all and sip some PBR. There you go, Andy. Yeah, we've tried to do a little bit of research, and the Packers have zero information. I've talked to Wendy over at the Packers who handles like events and stuff because I'm willing to pay to get us a cool setup. It ain't going to happen. They said the NFL and the city of Green Bay are working together. And it's out of their hands is basically what's going on. So I said, can I ask you a question? I said, why would you guys not rent out the bowl for this to watch the draft? I'm just curious. And she said, that's not a question for me. That question's above my head. That's what she said.
Yep.
So, got it. All right. That tells me everything I need to know. Eric Sutherland says defensive line, and then another defensive lineman. All right.
I agree. Uncle Eric speaking for me. I love it.
J. Cole says, also, it looks like we met with Jalen Royals.
Yes.
Yeah. A little full disclaimer here. I drafted Jalen Royals in my Madden league.
Nice. Utah State, baby. Let's go. Another guy on our board. It's interesting because the more I hear stuff like this, the more I think we're going to draft a receiver, Clayton.
I think so, too.
I think it's going to happen. And I think it's going to happen probably sooner than we think. Maybe even third round, possibly. Yeah. Hopefully not. Hopefully we stay with the trenches. But I'm seeing a lot of these guys on my short list seem to be on the Packers' radar. Man, it'll be real interesting to see how this plays out.
We talk precedent all the time, right? Is there precedent for that? Yes, there is. Goody will spend a second round pick on a wide receiver. He won't use a first, but he will use a second. Ted Thompson. I think Ted Thompson told him that when he handed him the reins. He said, "Listen, Buck. Whatever you do, never draft a wide receiver in the first round because I know it pisses the fans off." That's what he said. So I'm on board with being just a little bit petty like that.
Well, it's a good thing Jaden Higgins will be on the board in the second round, hopefully. So
yeah, as Drew D says, a stadium of 80,000 capacity, we're not even using it. What a shame! It's just such a missed opportunity, man. I'm telling you. And listen, I don't think it would be full. I don't think the bowl would be full, but if it's half full, if there's 40,000 people in there. Watching the draft from inside Lambeau Field, on the big board. Those boards are unbelievable now, right? It's frustrating, man. I've said that about away games too. Set the infrastructure up to where, hey, look, let's go out there when the Packers are on the road, open up Lambeau where you can come in and watch the game at Lambeau. I think that there's probably an agreement between other teams that you won't do that because it might take away from their home capacity to travel a bit. Let's be honest, man. How many teams have problem filling up the stadium, right?
Yeah.
The Detroit Lions, when they're not winning, fair weather fans. I'm just going to say a little dig there. But, all right. Yeah, there you go, Drew. Some people just want to be – I'm telling you right now, man, if they let me order a pizza sitting there and eat it, I'd pay them $100 just to sit in a bowl, empty stadium, and eat a pizza.
I will say this. I don't think it's 100% off the table. I've heard conflicting reports that they're still considering using that, using the bowl in some kind of capacity. The other thing we have to remember too is, this is the entire NFL world is going to be in Green Bay, and between league officials, between the draft people, between security, between the television network, I mean, there is a lot of, you talk about infrastructure. There's a lot of real estate that's going to be needed to, provide for, 1 million vehicles and, equipment and things like that. So I think that's why the Packers probably, like you said, they don't really have a say because the league is going to have their requirements.
Right.
And the Packers have to do their best to fulfill that before they can do anything extra. But I have heard reports, though, that they are thinking of using, Lambeau as like an overflow or, in some kind of capacity. So
I'm going to tell you right now, if that's the case and we can somehow sit together in the bowl for a portion of the draft, there's going to be a portion of our live draft stream that's going to get canned. Because to be able to meet up with some of the folks that want to meet up,
sure,
let's meet up in this section. If it's just kind of all first come first serve, it's not assigned seating. How cool would that be, man?
Yep.
Hey, let's go grab section 220, and just sit up there, eat some brats, and watch the draft.
That could happen either way because we talk about going down to the draft early and then heading back to the house there to get a show in. We might, once you're in, you might be in, man.
Right. Yeah.
It might take 3 hours just to get out of there to your Uber.
Yeah.
I think they're accounting for that. We saw that last year in Detroit, right? They had expected a certain amount of people, and it exceeded by several 100,000, and they had to kind of make adjustments on the fly. So anything people are predicting about, the draft here in Green Bay, I think you got to remember in the back of your head, there could be even more people attending than they even planned for. So having contingency plans and things like that is probably just comes with the territory, I think, for the Packers. Probably why they're non-committal on a lot of things right now.
Yeah, I'd say you're right. Yeah. I'm trying to think of the conversation I've had with people there at Lambeau, and then what you just said that, hey, there's, the answer that they gave me, I could see that being a precursor to, hey, it's out of our hands, and then bang, hey guys, get your tickets to sit in the bowl and watch the draft. I wouldn't be surprised one bit. That would be awesome. That would be absolutely
scarcity
awesome.
Creates demand, right?
There you go. All right, guys, that's it. We're out of here. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us. If you would hit that like button, feel free to sub to the channel if this is your first time dropping through. We appreciate you. Thank you to all the Patreon members, all the YouTube members. You guys supporting this stupid little show is what keeps it going, and we can't thank you enough. So, Tim, thank you for your time, man. We'll see you tonight, 7 p.m. Central for PTA Live.
Let's go.
Everybody have a great day. Talk to you soon.
And we go. Bye, guys.